Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am the human being American here in YouTube Ronin, and I'd like to welcome you to my special presentation, Why the Critics Are Wrong about The Conjuring Last Rites. Alright, I like to say hello to everyone currently joining us on X and the Green Machine Rumble. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. Already in the chat. Gambit, 1987. Blue Wrench, channel member. The voice of Northern Oklahoma. The tired midnight blogger himself. Nothing to see here, citizen Curtis Selby. My co-host on the Mystery Movie Night podcast, Sin's Corner. Faithful Blue Wrench, channel member, the bird woman of YouTube. Watch out for her channel, Fluff Chick Productions. It's pretty scary. Host of Films with Friends, the creator of the 10-Word Review. I'll be joining Al this week. Friday night at 8 o'clock for a viewing of the 1963 Roger Corman classic, The Raven, starring Vincent Price, Boris Karloff, Peter Lorre, and some Nick Jackson, something. I don't know, some guy. Won a couple of Oscars later on. All right. Now, I will start off with the elephant in the room, because I brought this up partially on a stream the other night, and I want to clarify the whole thing of calling movies like this, like the Conjuring films, like the Amityville Horror, like Fargo, and these movies and TV shows that claim to be based on a true story. And last night, during during Troy Pacelli's member stream, we watched the movie Fire in the Sky. And Fire in the Sky is an alien abduction film. It's the story of the 1975 disappearance of Travis Walton. And the film is based on a book that he had written based on his experiences. Now, there are parts of that film that are true, because there were people there to witness certain individual things taking place. And there are parts that were the invention of the filmmakers. Fargo, despite the fact that there are elements of it that involved a real case, the story that is being told in that film was not true. There is a a Minnesota state trooper is murdered during the course of the film. Thankfully, in 1987, Minnesota did not lose any state troopers. So that was one falsehood. It works dramatically for the film when it happens, but it's just not the case. A movie that won Best Picture, Braveheart, very good film. I've watched it several times. I enjoy that movie immensely. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. It's also complete bunk from start to finish. Not a whole lot of historical accuracy in that film. I am as I'm sure many of you here are fans of the Band of Brothers miniseries. There are things in that, that are not accurate. And I brought that up last night as well. So when you get to the Conjuring films, when they say that, okay, these movies are based on a true story, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Now, during the course of this movie, there are depictions of things that did happen. Yes. There are also some things that are Hollywood inventions. And you got to realize that going in. Don't take everything that's in these movies as gospel. When you see a movie that says, based on a true story, or a movie that claims to be based on some kind of a historical fact or event, do some research. You'll find out some interesting things. And so rant over. That was just me kind of talking about movies that claim to be based on a true story. In general, I'm not saying that that's a mark against this movie necessarily. I think four movies in, guys, I think we know kind of what we're dealing with. Well, five if you can Annabelle Comes Home, which does include the Warrens and has a lot to do with their daughter Judy. Okay. So we get to the Conjuring Last Rites. So you have paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played here once again by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. And they are, at this point, retired, kind of semi-retired. Ed has developed a heart problem, and they've decided to they're going to step back, and kind of enjoy this retirement. We're out of the, what gets called what gets called at one point the kind of the ghost busting business. Because in the first movie, when they are giving their talk, their kind of their version of a TED talk at this college, it's a packed house. And in this movie, which takes place mostly in 1986, the interest has kind of waned, and basically the few kids who do show up are just kind of there to laugh at them, and just, they want to talk about Ghostbusters. So there's a whole bit about that. And yes, Sin is going to be appearing on Nadia's channel, Horror for Nads, at 9:30 Eastern, and they're going to be talking about this film. Okay, so at the basically, this movie is has a parallel narratives. You are seeing what is happening with the Warrens. You're seeing Ed going through his health issues. Judy has a boyfriend. I'm not going to give too much away with this. Becomes her fiance during the early portion of the movie. And so while you have this whole parallel storyline of what's going on with the Warrens, you meet the Smurl family. And they come in possession of a mirror. And we find out from the opening sequence of the film, where we get to meet the young and Lorraine, that this is a mirror that has, of course, not just one demon in it, but three. You know, so we got multiples, and when they face off against these demons, there's a complication. Lorraine goes into labor early, and basically, Judy is stillborn. She's clinically dead for like a minute. At which point one of the demons has latched on to her. Now, of course, obviously, Judy survives. They go on with their lives. They go through all their adventures. Judy grows up. And the Smurls, through a chain of events, end up the mirror. And the demons in the mirror start messing with this family pretty much right away. They waste no time. One of the daughters vomits, I believe it was looked like glass. The grandmother gets pushed down the stairs, and she's hospitalized for most of the film. And the Father Gordon character, who goes all the way back to the original film, he is the one who gets initially involved, and it becomes this big media circus. The Smurls wind up going on television. There's a clip where they're on Larry King Live, which I actually do kind of vaguely remember seeing at the time. And Father Gordon at one point goes back to Ed and Lorraine. I think you guys should look into this, essentially. But they they're like, no, we're kind of we're done with that part of our life now, you know. So things get and this is non I am not going to go into spoilers. There's something that takes place that sort of forces Ed and Lorraine into, and Judy as well, into action, and that's when things really kind of start moving at 100 miles an hour. Now, I do want to say this up front. This is a slow burn movie. Uh, to certain people, it will be maybe a boring film. Um, this is not a scare a minute film. If you're going in expecting that, don't, because that's not what they're going for. Not certainly not in the first half of the movie. Um, Even though I think there's plenty going on that it keeps you, or at least it kept me anyway, interested. And I don't think that it is I don't think it's a boring movie. I think it's just a slow burn movie. And does it burn a little bit longer than maybe it should? Yeah. Um, if they had found a way to maybe take 8 or 10 minutes off of the film, honestly, I don't think it would have hurt the movie any. Um, but I that almost doesn't count, because I find myself saying that about most movies. Oh, they could have taken 10 minutes off of it or something. You can take 10 minutes off of most movies and it wouldn't hurt. So I would say kind of just push that to the side, you know. Um, Now without because I clocked it, without credits, the movie is 2 hours and 8 minutes. Sans credits. And if they had taken off that 8 minutes, okay, you know, I think it would have been a tighter film. But what we've got and the slow burn element of it, for me, it worked because, much like my previous review with the Thursday Murder Club, I came to like the characters that we've been following through 4 movies now. Well, like I said, really 5 with Annabelle Comes Home. So it was almost like I feel at home with these characters. So, you know, for me, it's different. You know, I don't mind that maybe the movie is a little bit long, because I enjoy being in that world, with these characters, because kind of I feel like I know them now, and yeah, there, like I said, there are things that are fictionalized mixed in with things that are true. But what I am talking about is within the context of the film itself. Let's put everything else aside. And within the context of the film, I care about these people and I want to see them succeed. It's, the Conjuring movies at their heart, the way that I've always looked at them, anyways, I've always looked at them as good versus evil stories. These demons do not belong in the same dimension as us. They cannot be left to wreak the havoc that they have been. So somebody's got to be there to stop them. You want to call these two Ghostbusters? Go for it. Like the characters do in the movie, the college kids, Oh, you're like Ghostbusters, But yeah, they kind of are. Even if they don't want, even if they wouldn't put it that way, and um, but yeah, I always found these movies, while not necessarily scary, they're definitely creepy. And they're very atmospheric. And to me, this movie is no different. Apparently there is an end credit scene. I didn't see it. Connie, you'll have to like DM me and let me know what that was. But yeah. Now, to answer another question that other people may have, we've been told before that, oh, this is going to be the last of something. This is going to be the final chapter in this particular story. This does come to a conclusion. One that for me was satisfying. And makes sense within the course of the film and kind of the series on the whole, which I think is a good idea. I say, and I like this movie, guys. Obviously I'm going to tell you, I do like this movie. I am recommending it. I think it's kind of misunderstood. It's not going to be for everybody. The Conjuring movies in general are not for everyone. My friend that I watched this with walked out of the first movie after a half hour, because it just wasn't his thing, But he made it through this. I don't know if he liked it. He didn't really say, but we definitely did have some discussions about it. So I get it. These movies are not for everybody, but I like them. Even the third one, I didn't hate that, and I think that's like the least. That's like the least of them, I think, and like I said, I do kind of count Annabelle Comes Home. And while that movie has issues, I'm kind of starting to reevaluate it in my mind. I think I like it a little bit better um, than I did. So I might need to rewatch that one. I might need to rewatch all of it because I haven't seen all of the Conjuring franchise movies. I know I didn't see The Nun 2. And I'm pretty sure there's another one that I may have missed along the way. But for the most part, this franchise, I think it's been pretty decent, you know. Um that first Annabelle's not that great. I think out of all that one's not very good. Um The Curse of La Llorona, uh, I was kind of meh on it. And this is the same director. And I will tell you, some trepidation that I did have going in was the director of this film is Michael Chavez, I think is his name, and he directed the third film, and he did a couple of the other one. He did La Llorona, um, which I said I wasn't a big fan of necessarily. So I went into this concerned that I wasn't going to like this movie because they had number one, they didn't have I would think for the finale they would bring James Wan back to direct it, you know. Um, but they didn't, you know. They went with this other director that did the movies that I thought were maybe the lesser of the franchise. But it's obvious with this one that he's definitely paying attention to what James Wan did, with the earlier movies. So it's obvious that, he paid attention and he learned standing next to Wan. And he did this movie, and I think this is the better movie of the movies in the franchise that he's directed. I think this is the best one. Um, Again, like I say, this is not a perfect film. It is too long, but it didn't bother me that it was a little longer because, like I said, I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the world that this franchise has built around those characters. And the fact that they do ramp up, the creepy factor, which always works. Now, there are some, like I said, there's some returning characters, Father Gordon obviously being the main one, but there are other ones. I don't want to give those away. But there are characters that show up throughout, and who I was not expecting to see. But I'm happy that they did. So that was fun. Because like I said in my previous review, Thursday Murder Club, and there's a reason why I reviewed both of these movies in particular back to back, because there are things that I found similar between them, and one of them was, hey, I enjoyed the cast, and I liked watching that cast do their thing because, you're used to them now. And, Thursday Murder Club has a cameo in the third act that I wasn't expecting. There are people who show up in the third act of this movie that I wasn't expecting. So there was that. Now, there has been much use in this series of the Annabelle doll. Now, the real life Annabelle doll looks like just your standard garden variety Raggedy Ann doll, which makes it creepier in a way, because the doll in the film, oh, this little bitch gonna start something. But the doll in real life looks like something your kid could be playing with. Now, much has been said about how you go about taking care of Annabelle and not letting the it inside it out. And this movie does go into that a little bit. And there are scenes that involve Annabelle, and one scene where we see Annabelle do something she ain't done before. And you're like, okay, this is unpleasant. Let's just say if you have a phobia of giant things, there's going to be a scene in this that's going to get to you. That megalophobia or whatever they call it, something like that. Let me see. Hello to Age Boomer. I'm going to be joining Boomer here in about 50 minutes for live from Sparkwood 21. Was The Conjuring really meant to be a franchise? I don't know if it was necessarily meant to be. It certainly gave itself over to being one. I'm glad it is, because for the most part, I like the movies. Like I said, some more than others, certainly. I don't feel like I wasted my time watching any of them. Yeah, I'm fine with it being a franchise, but I'm also fine with it not going any farther than it has. I think it's a wise idea to kind of stop it here. And like I said, you do get an ending. The ending is an ending. It is very much strongly intended to close off the franchise. It does that. And I think it does that in a satisfactory manner. Let me see. There was there a question? How do I rate? I'll be getting to Kurt. Yeah. Now, I've kind of come to look at these movies like they're kind of like I kind of look at it as like they're like the Avengers films of like paranormal movies. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong thinking that, but it's kind of the way I look at it. And this definitely is the Avengers Endgame of the Conjuring films. You know, because it does come to a conclusion. The ending for Ed and Lorraine, but not the next generation. Personal opinion, could be wrong. Um, I hope they don't. Honestly, um, I think they should just. I think they should just leave it where it is. I think they should just leave it where they end. I'm not going to give the ending away, uh, but how they go about it. There is this note of finality to it, and I'm fine with this being the last movie. Um, why drag it out for like another 6 movies? Now, this was the number one movie over the weekend. It did very well. It did more. I think it did like the last the last total I saw was it was over 83 million for the opening weekend. So it's probably already made its production budget back. After marketing, I don't know. But the point is this is a movie that's going to do very well. And what I hope they don't do is take the wrong lesson from this and start making more movies. I I don't need a next generation film. Leave it just as it is. Leave it on the note that the movie leaves things on, which to me was the logical place to end it. So obviously from what I've said, I do like it more than uh, some of my fellow critics have. And like I said, this is not going to be a movie for everybody. Everybody's not going to dig it. I get it. I understand why. Um, but I disagree. I felt like I was a fly on the wall for this paranormal adventure, for lack of a better term. And I like the characters. I like the world building that we've gotten throughout these films. I think there's a couple of moments in this that are genuinely creepy. Um, Not perfect, but at the same time, not bad. And again, a movie that I didn't feel like I wasted my time watching. I actually looked forward to seeing this film. So I'm gonna recommend it. You know, um, I think it's worth seeing in theaters, especially if you're a fan of these films. If you're not, maybe wait. But again, a movie where I don't feel like I wasted time or money watching it. Uh, I dug it. I think the performances are good. The production value is still there. Um, it was a better movie than I thought it was going to be going in. I had my reservations about this, guys. I really did. I went into this going, I may very well not like this movie, because like I said, I had concerns when it came to the director. I didn't think he was the right guy, but he proved me wrong with this one. This one's the better of the films he's done. Um, you know, I like the characters. I like the world. I like uh, the kind of general atmospheric tone of it that they've remained consistent with. And I'm really kind of talking around things because I don't want to give it away for those of you who are interested in seeing it. Because I think this movie is worth the watch, guys. Go. My advice has always been, and hello to the horror cat dad. Um, my advice would be watch the movie, decide for yourself whether you enjoyed it or not. You know, um, and this is this is clearly a divisive movie. You know, there are people here that I respect who've made it very clear in their reviews that they didn't like this movie and why they didn't like it. But there are also those of us who did, and that's fine. We can agree. We can agree to disagree. It's a divisive movie. I get it, but I am on the side of I dug it. I liked it. I genuinely did, and I didn't feel like I was wasting my time watching it. I didn't feel bored. Could they have taken, like I said, 10 minutes off of it? Sure. And I think that does go kind of count against it. Um, there are a couple of beats here and there where I was like, huh? Kind of character decision type stuff. But that happens a lot in horror movies, guys. I mean, let's be honest. There's at some point there's always, you know, why did you do that? And there's a couple of bits like that here too. Um, but you kind of learn to live with that after a while. Um, I dug this movie, man. Serious. But my advice would be go in with an open mind, decide for yourself. Go see it in theaters if you want to see it in theaters. If you prefer to wait to streaming, okay. Um, it worked for me. Qapla' to Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Good to see you, sir. We're about to wind it down. All right. Like I said, divisive movie among critics, but I dug it. I liked this movie. Not perfect, but definitely better than I thought it was going to be going in, because I was worried that this wasn't going to go out on a high note, but but it did. For me, it did. And to answer your question from earlier, Curtis, it's definitely in a high 3-star range, like maybe like a probably like a 3.5, maybe. It's definitely going to make my honorable mentions by the end of the year, I think. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, I think it's a worthy sequel. It's definitely better than, someone was asking, is it better than the third movie? Yes, it's better than the third movie. For sure. That's really all I have to say. Check it out. I think it's a decent. I think it's a decent film. It is definitely worth watching. Yeah. Connie says I sit it at 3.5 as well. Yeah, 3.5, solid score. Yeah, I would say for me it's about that. It's I think unless we get like a solid, unless we get like a really solid group of films between now and the end of the year, I think it's going to make my honorable mentions at least. All right. So The Conjuring, Last Rites. Solid film, well acted, well shot. I felt like old home week watching it. It was like it was like saying hello to old friends to me. And I really do hope that they find a decent franchise to put Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga into. They are these films. They are the heart of the Conjuring films, and I hope they find another franchise that's at least as good as this. Because I'm definitely down for it. Do not break up this team. That does not mean do more Conjuring movies. This ends it. Don't do any more. But make up something new, and it doesn't necessarily have to be horror either. Okay, you can do any one of a number of things. Just please bring these two back. They do work well together. They did. Yeah, you buy that they're this couple. I get it. I mean, say what you want about the real life people. The Ed and Lorraine of the film versions, freaking rock. I like these guys. Yeah, that's my review of The Conjuring, guys. I liked it. Insidious 5. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do another Insidious. Um, I don't know. I don't know if they felt the ending of the previous movie was a good place to cap that off. I have to see. The Insidious movies are ones I need are ones that I need to are ones that I need to revisit because I haven't seen all of those either. There are rumors. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Haven't they already done 5? Yeah, I think it is 5. I don't know. 5, 4, 5. Yeah. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I am recommending The Conjuring Last Rites. Decide for yourself. I know it's not going to be for everybody. It's a slow burn, but I personally I didn't think it was a boring one. I was with it. I didn't feel necessarily like it was dragging. I just think they could have maybe cut a few minutes off of it, but I say that about most movies. It's a solid movie. I'll put it that way. It's a solid movie, and it's going to be at least in my honorable mentions, I think, at the end of the year. We'll see. All right. I do want to thank everyone currently following along on X and Rumble. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. I do want to thank everyone who was here in the chat. Connie and Curtis, Sin, the Horror Cat Dad, Aged Boomer, Big Out Presents, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, Gambit 1987, all right. I don't think I missed anyone. If I did, much apologies. All right. I do want to remind everyone that in a half hour will be the next episode of Live from Sparkwood in 21. I will be joined by Aged Boomer, Netters Network, and Last Call with Troy Pacelli. We will be watching the short films of David Lynch. So, from HQ and all points north, south, east, west, and beyond, good night, take care, stay strong, be safe and healthy, because this is how we win.